to Fabulous Foods with Victoria Fabbo. I'm really excited today. I have Mr. Joe here. Not even just Mr. Joe, Mr. Joe Piantedosi. I am so honored you're here today. Thank you.
Thank you. I've been trying to coordinate this for a while, so glad we finally did, and great to be here today.
Me too. Thank you. So I wanted to start off, I know how awesome your bread is. So I thought today we'd just make some meatballs.
That'd be fun, sure.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm using my mom's sauce. So my mom really, and my dad, they had their Italian restaurant, right, in Melrose. And Piantedosi's was special to me because as a child, I'd come into your place in Malden. I know back then it used to be in Everett, but we used to go there and I'd always get a sub roll. So the aromas and the smells always made me feel so happy and ready to go. And then my mom, we made meatballs and we made meatball subs.
Well, I think I told you we had a former baker that had been with us, one of my grandfather's first hires, and he retired in his early 60s, and I lured him to come back to the bakery to work our outlet store, and he loved children, and he decided to give every kid that came into the bakery to buy anything with their family a roll, and he became synonymous with that, and our bakery did. People will reach out to me today and say they have fondest memories of coming in with their parents or grandparents or any other friend or relative that came in to buy bread, and they'd walk out with a free roll, and they got to see rolls up ahead.
That was the coolest
part. The conveyor belt.
The conveyor belt, yeah.
Yeah, the oven, but it comes out of the oven, then it's transported via conveyor belt to the packaging area, and it cools in the process, so you can come in and ooh and ah and see the bread up above.
And honest to goodness, when I was at Johnson & Wales for baking and pastry, I was primarily a bread girl. You were bread or a cake girl, we used to say.
Okay.
I was a bread girl. And when we established Operation Peace, Love, and Bread, and we used to bake bread and donate it to local food pantries.
Sure.
So I think really the bread started when I was 5, coming to you guys.
Oh wow, that's nice to hear.
So thank you, yeah. All right, so meatballs.
Meatballs.
So my mom always says to use the meatloaf packaging, so it's beef, pork, and veal. So we did that today. And then starting off with grated cheese and of course your breadcrumbs, right?
Yep.
So I'm gonna
It's always good to start with, it's funny, another story, I'm a storyteller.
Love it.
But we, one of our hires, actually, he's our COO, and we interviewed him 20-something years ago, maybe closer to 30. And when he came on board, he said, he was all excited because he grew up knowing about our bread because his mother, he was Italian, he is Italian, mother used our bread. So she said to make good meatballs, you have to start with good breadcrumbs, and you use Piantedosi bread. So as a child, he knew of our company because of his mother's meatballs. So this is nice to be here today and have you start with the meatballs with Piantedosi breadcrumbs.
Of course. And in honor of Italian Heritage Month too.
October, that is right.
October, so here we go. Okay. All right. Are you a garlic man?
I do like garlic, yes.
I love garlic. So we put at least half a clove in here.
That's a good amount.
Yeah. I did half an onion.
Because you diced all this up earlier.
Yeah, I just, make it nice and easy and simple. I'm just using like a pinch of oregano.
Sure.
Yeah. My mom always says, don't do too much.
Okay.
All right. And then salt. Are you a salt guy?
Yep.
All right. So I'm always going to add in more salt. As a registered dietitian, I always kind of shy from it. But I'm learning that you have to enhance the flavor. Add the salt. Okay. Some black pepper.
Black pepper, yep.
And then I have dry basil. You can use fresh basil if you want, but I think for this purpose, I like to use dry basil.
Can't always get fresh basil all year round, even though still there's fresh basil out there now. But
and sometimes I get worried it will brown so quick.
It does.
Yeah, but also what I like to do is I dry the basil. So I get it from when I'm growing it in the summer, and then I dry it.
Did you grow that yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's still fresh in a way.
It is.
But I do have fresh parsley.
Parsley.
So what I did for the parsley too, you have to wash fresh parsley. I washed 3 times, and then I let it dry out. I do that to get the water and the moisture out, and then I go ahead and I chop it up. Cheese. How much cheese can we ever have? 2?
Just a little more.
A little more?
That's Parmesan, right?
Oh yeah. My mom always says use two types, so I use 2 types of cheese.
Parmesan and...
Just 2 different various options of them. Yep. And then just 1 egg.
1 egg.
Okay. And now the breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs. Piantedosi breadcrumbs.
Piantedosi breadcrumbs.
And in the breadcrumbs you put some...
I put some dry herbs in it.
Yep.
Yeah. I like to just add whatever I have from the basil or parsley. I'll add it in to just make it a little bit more colorful.
Sure.
Yeah. And then I always keep the breadcrumbs close by because sometimes I always feel like you may need a bit more just to add. And then I use water and I just wet my hands a little bit. And I use this when I'm mixing the meatballs and putting them together just to help it be more cohesive.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to do that. Now, tell us a little bit of the history about Piantedosis, please.
So we're now into the 4th generation. My grandfather came from Avellino, Italy.
Oh, yes.
Not far from where your family came from.
Right, yes.
And settled in Everett. And he actually decided to, he realized Everett needed bread. And initially he bought a horse and wagon. It was a blind horse because he couldn't afford to buy a healthy horse.
Yeah.
And he would leave Everett early in the morning and go out to the North End. He bought bread from bakeries in the North End and would deliver it house to house in Everett. And he met my grandmother, who was of Italian descent, but lived in the North End. They got married. He brought it to Everett. She was a pioneer career woman.
Love
and
that.
she said we would do better and make more money if we made the bread ourselves.
Wonderful.
So he knew nothing really about baking bread at that point, but he built a bakery. He hired a family of bakers from the North End to come and bake bread initially. And they had a great partnership for a few years. And then actually it was the Salamini family, that was their name. And my grandfather used to say, old man Salamini. He was probably younger than my grandfather, came to him and said, my boys are crazy. He said, they don't like being in the country. Everett was the country compared to Boston back then. And they miss the city. And they're tired of being bakers. They want to open up a restaurant. He said, so we're going to go back to the North End and open up a restaurant, which eventually became Felicia's.
Oh, wow.
Restaurant in the North End. They had one in Stoneham as well. And my grandfather was then forced to learn how to bake bread. And he had 3 young boys at the time, my father being one of them, Carmen, Joe, and John. My dad was Joe, the middle son. And they started before school and after school and weekends and holidays. And my grandfather still delivered house to house. My grandmother tended the shop.
Wow.
And that's how it all started in 1916. And today we sell restaurants all throughout the country with bread, frozen bread outside of the New England area.
Wow.
And we do supermarkets from South Jersey to northern Maine.
Right.
And you can find us in Market Basket, Shaw's, Stop and Shop, Hannaford, Big Y, and a lot of local markets as well. Especially here in Revere, there's we sell the Market Baskets in Revere, and Stop and Shop as well, and a lot of local places too. And as your family had a restaurant, a lot of our breads are served in restaurants throughout the area. So
yeah, well that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Man.
So long story.
No, but who would have thought Everett was the country?
Yeah, exactly. Well, back then, it was.
That's awesome.
It was, yeah.
May I ask you, may you add a little bit more breadcrumbs for me,
Sure.
please?
Okay.
Thank you.
I know, what is that? That's some other cheese. Well, that goes in late.
I just have some provolone for later on to top off.
Tell me how much more breadcrumbs you'd like.
A little bit more, please. And that should be good for now.
Okay.
Thank you. So, do you like provolone on your meatball?
I do.
Tub? Okay.
Yep. Love
All right.
cheese.
Great. So, some people like it, so I thought I'd bring it.
So this was your mother's recipe, right?
Oh, yes. Yep. I'm on the phone with her. You know, I've been doing it every Sunday. That was always the nice
Sunday
thing,
was
right?
the day with, sauce.
Sauce. So making it with my mom, making it by yourself without your mom is like a new experience.
Really? That's
So you have to make sure you're doing it right. So I'm
my
on
Sunday dinner. So I grew up, the whole family would get together every Sunday. And unfortunately, the way times have changed, it doesn't happen as often. Kids have sports and different.
Right.
I remember I tell my son, who's 25, that growing up, you did nothing but you went to church and you had family dinner and relatives came over too.
Yeah.
And stores weren't open and there were no school activities or anything. It was sports was on television, but you'd have a family dinner and get together, and that was the time to break bread to eat, which was great.
I love breaking bread.
Yeah.
I tell people when I studied abroad in France for baking pastry, I gained 12 pounds.
Oh, come on.
Eating bread and butter.
Really? Wow.
I was a happy camper. So it was good. All right, so I think this feels good.
Yeah, it looks good.
All right. Some people add a dash of milk if you want, but we'll not do that today.
Okay.
Okay. So I think with maybe your nonna and my nonna, they used to just do it by their hands.
Absolutely.
Smack it and do it. I thought today we could use a scooper.
Okay.
All right.
Makes them more consistent.
Yeah.
Even sized.
Even size. I thought especially with your bread, everything's perfect and even size always. So we do it. We can roll them out after. We don't have to keep them just off the scooper if we want. And for my house, we do like the big ones, then we have to do the little ones for the soups later.
Yep.
Right? So.
Soup with escarole.
Yeah.
Soup.
Exactly. Now, how often do you eat bread then?
Daily, pretty much.
Daily, pretty much still. Well, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
I always eat bread every day too, so it makes me happy.
I think most Italians do.
I think so. If you weren't doing bread, do you think you'd be doing something else?
Well, in addition to the bread, I'm on the radio. I have a radio show, Breaking Bread, which is the name. And I love that. I think I'd be doing more with that, but I do a radio show that airs on weekends on IR, WRKO.
Right.
So it's kind of fun to do that as well, but I love to find out how people tick, and I have a lot of restaurateurs and chefs on the show, and it makes it kind of fun. I love the food bit. I love to eat. I love food.
Yes.
So it's nice to talk about food.
Yeah. Do you like to cook a lot at home as well?
I'm not really that much of a cook at all. I like to grill.
Okay.
And
that's important.
My wife is Irish, and she has learned to cook. She's a very good cook. She learned from my mother and from my sister.
That sounds like my mom.
Really?
Irish woman.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Half Irish, half Italian.
That's like my son. Is half Irish, half Italian. It's a good combination.
I feel like it's the Everett mix.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
No, that's like the perfect. Look at that. It's almost like you planned it.
We did well today. All right. So. All right.
Well, look at that.
Meatballs. Kind of like bread. So with bread, they used to, some bread bakers, they'll do like a little hand motion.
Yep.
And they'll keep their palm fist like this. Then, when you're done, you just squish it down a bit.
Okay.
You can keep it elevated if you want, but I don't want to. So kind of the same as bread, because when we used to bake bread, we used to do like over 12,000 loaves.
Wow.
Not 12,000 in the year of bread. So we had a lot of practice. We used to have a lot of kids that would come in.
Oh, wow.
And we used to say, we're honing our skills and helping the community.
That's so nice.
So yeah, so it was really nice. And
the scoop works out really well because they're all equal size.
Equal
Especially
size.
if you own a restaurant, you want them to be equal size, so someone doesn't feel left out if they got a smaller meatball than the dinner guest.
And me as a middle child, it's very important. So I remember doing this every Sunday with my mom, and like you said, you have to pass down the tradition.
Right.
Which is really important, especially with our, even Italian culture, but any culture.
True.
And family time.
Yep.
What do you think you want to do next and with Bread Life?
With Bread Life, I don't know, we're growing the company. We're trying to venture into more areas. Just go from there and help the next generation run with the company, which is, I guess, our goal.
What keeps you motivated to do it?
I think my son coming into the business was great. I didn't think he was going to come in. He went to school in New York, and he decided to come to our company, which was nice.
Yeah.
So keeps me motivated, and I love doing the radio show too. It makes it fun, and it's a great tie-in with the company.
That's true.
Works out well.
So, for meatballs, at my house, we add water and we bake them.
Okay. Some people fry them.
Some people fry them.
Yep.
I'm a registered dietitian.
Okay. It's healthier to bake them.
Healthier to bake them. I know my nonna used to do that, but yeah. So what we do is that we just add some little bit of water to it.
Okay.
It's okay if it touches the meat on top.
Sure.
But just to give it a little steam, and so they cook evenly. Okay. So I'll pop these in this oven, and then we'll wait for them to be done.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome back. All right. Are you hungry?
Yes, very hungry. So it's funny because you baked the meatballs.
Yes.
But my mother used to fry the meatballs. And then a lot of people don't even bake or fry them. They put them right into the sauce as the sauce, right?
Right.
So you have 3 different ways to do it.
That's true, yeah.
And you prefer baking is probably a little healthier.
Yeah, and it cuts some time on the stewing too, perhaps.
Okay.
Still want this to stew. Like I have some meatballs in here now that I had stewing for some hours.
Right.
But I think you're right. When they put them in raw, they stew it for more than 8
Yeah,
hours.
and my mother used to put sometimes sausage or pork
Oh, yep.
as well.
I have
with
some
meat.
meat bones in here too.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. So sauce too. I can just talk about how I made it.
Sure.
All right. So I put olive oil on first, of
Yep.
course. Onions. I did half an onion, and then with that, let that cook for over 10 minutes. So I want people to like really remember that and think about that when they're cooking, because
Right.
some people think, oh, just like really quick.
Yep.
But sauce is a labor of love.
Sure. Well, there's a quick marinara sauce too. Some people will make a
True.
real quick sauce too.
Yeah.
If it's short in time, but if you want a real hearty meal,
Right,
you know,
right.
let it stew. And
Yeah. Over 8 hours this guy
Wow.
was. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was good.
what do you use for tomatoes?
I actually still use the pastine from
Okay.
the can.
My father used to like San Marzano.
San Marzano, yep.
Yep.
Okay. Yep, so then I did garlic, of course. Let that cook for another 10 minutes. Put the ground meat in first.
Okay.
Brown that up with some parsley, salt, pepper.
Beautiful.
And then I put the tomatoes. I let those render for a bit.
Okay.
Actually, I did something different. This time.
What'd you do?
So, you know when you have to put water to clean the can out?
Yep,
And then you
sure.
add that water to the pot.
Yep.
So I kept my parsley stems, my onion peels, and my garlic peels. I washed those really good, and then I put those in a pan, added the canned water from the tomato sauce.
Okay.
I let that boil. So I made like a quick like little broth to
Oh,
just
wow.
get some of the flavor out more. And then I let the tomato sauce render a little bit with the ground beef, and then I added that water.
Excellent.
So just a little extra step. So
Okay.
I hope you like it.
Sounds great.
Right. So we have your rolls here. So tell me about the different ones now.
Okay, well, we have our regular sub roll that we've had for a million years. We came out with a new line just a few years ago
Wow.
called the Midnight Baker.
Okay.
I told you about my grandfather, and he would deliver bread when he was going house to house in his horse and wagon until after midnight. And he was nicknamed the Midnight Baker.
Okay.
So we came up with a line that we sell in supermarkets called the Midnight Baker Panini.
Panini.
So we have one of those rolls right there.
Beautiful. Okay.
And then we also
the
have our
twist.
slider rolls. Sliders have become really big in restaurants. You can get them as an appetizer, an hors d'oeuvre,
Right.
or as a meal.
Yeah.
Great for home use too. I mean, it's a nice little
Game
little-
day.
Game day, exactly.
Right?
And people don't, think of a little mini cheeseburger or a rib sandwich, but meatball sliders are phenomenal. And we use a potato slider roll
Okay.
with potato flour.
Perfect.
So it's a great combination. So you've got a hearty sub roll, or you have a potato slider roll.
Love it. Okay.
And they both, our bread is light and airy. It has a lot of body to it. So it'll hold a juicy substance real well,
Yes.
like sauce, without having it fall apart in your hands.
Right.
So that's one of our trademarks, one of our attributes to our bread is that it'll hold together. You're not wearing the meat in your hand and the bread doesn't
right.
dissipate. So that's a good sign.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's true. Now, on your sub rolls, do you put sauce on first, or you put the meatballs on and then the sauce?
You decide. You can do it either way. I'm game either way, whatever you think.
All right. I think for fun, we'll do a little bit of both.
Sure.
Okay.
I think that'll be nice.
So
Yeah, it's nice to dress it first a little bit with
just a
sauce.
little bit first, right? Okay. And so I like my meatballs to just get a little brown, so that's what I did
Yep.
for here. Okay, we're doing a fourth one.
That's a lot.
I'm one of 4 girls, so there we go.
Okay. No brothers, all girls?
All girls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the cooking?
Everyone can thankfully cook.
Okay, but no one else is in the food business?
No,
No.
but that's okay. All right, so Parmesan cheese and
Sure.
provolone.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And do you like yours grilled first or like broiled first?
No, I eat it like that. I
You
mean,
eat it
you
like
can
that?
do it either way, but
Okay. Enough cheese or more cheese?
that cheese is good. You're going to put some provolone on.
Yes, please.
And we could try the slider, do it the slider way too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Woohoo. Extra cheese for you.
Did you-
So there. Thank you, sir. Okay. These ones, I'll put the sauce right on top.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. I'm having nice flashbacks at my parents' restaurant right now.
Really?
So thank you.
Smells so good too.
Thank you. And cheese is important too. This cheese I eat every day.
Really? do you grate that yourself, the cheese?
I did grate the cheese myself. Yep, the Parmesan and the provolone. I just think it tastes a little bit better.
Do you use Romano at all? Or is it all Parmesan?
I will.
Yeah.
I do. Mm-hmm.
My mother used to mix Parmesan and Romano together.
True. There we are. Thank you, sir. Okay, those look pretty.
Oftentimes sliders people might put like a colorful toothpick or something into.
True, you're right.
So.
And then we can put some sauce on a plate.
Yeah, you know what's really nice is if you take some of our French bread.
Yes.
And you dip it in the sauce. If you don't
I'm
feel
game.
like having a meatball, just, dunk it into the sauce.
Now we are at home. Now we are in Italy.
You can just tear it.
Tear it off. Do you want to do the honors?
Sure.
Please.
You can just dip it in right on.
Okay.
No double dipping, just one. You can dip once.
Dip once.
But good, you do it. We can.
All right, cheers.
Cheers it, yeah.
Salute.
Better than a cocktail.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Great sauce.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Great bread.
Yeah. Well, you can find our bread in all the local supermarkets, like I mentioned, Market Basket,
Awesome.
Stop and Shop, Shaw's, Star Market, Big Y, McKinnon's Market here in Everett, which isn't far away.
Yeah.
We also have our outlet store.
Yeah.
It's in Malden on Commercial Street. So
Great.
you can find it. If you can't find it, ask for it.
Yeah. And where can we find you on the podcast?
It's a radio show, so it's on WRKO.
Excuse me, yes.
Saturday afternoons, 2 p.m. It goes into podcast.
Right.
But Saturdays, 2 p.m., Breaking Bread with Joe Piantedosi.
Awesome.
So from 2 to 3, 6 to 8 a.m. WRKO. Sunday morning is rebroadcast on WTAG out of Worcester, 580 a.m.
Awesome.
It can be heard on the dial, or you can stream it live anywhere in the country.
Wow.
In the world, actually.
Great.
And then by Monday, it goes into podcast.
Okay.
And you can find it using the iHeart app.
Awesome.
But let's break bread, and
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thanks
so
for
good to be
breaking
here.
bread.
Appreciate it.
Have a great time, and thanks, guys, for joining me on Fabulous Food. I hope you enjoy the bread soon.